What up, Junkies? We are here with... This man has way too many accolades to list, but he's the main reason why we all have zeros in our bank accounts once our pro wrestling tee orders come in. Colt Cabana, how are you doing, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
Whoa, look at that professional mic.
Yeah, damn right. It's professional, Mike. I'm ready.
How you doing today?
I'm good. I'm sorry that you have zeros in your bank account, but I'm happy for my bank account. So thank you.
Pro wrestling tees hits all of us very hard at on payday for sure.
Awesome. So cool.
We will we'll jump right into this. This first gentleman was waiting a long time, and he's a huge fan. Dennis, how you doing, buddy?
Whoa!
Yeah. First off, I have to let me take this off. First off, I have to say, Colt,
Put it back on. Put it back on. No, I'm just kidding. You look great. Take Dennis.
First thing I gotta say about this mask, I get more people that come up to me and laugh out loud at this mask. So thank you for putting this out. Also, too, I'm coming to you live from my studio in my basement. I don't have an apartment, so I live in a house. So, but I just want
brag.
But I just want to say, first off, again, it's a huge honor to talk to you. I actually just started my own podcast. They dropped episode 2 today, and I want to credit you as being one of the my influences and one of the reasons why I decided to get into podcasting.
Mazel tov.
And I also want to show you one last thing. I'm the guy that bought the ring attire from you about a couple weeks ago. So
where'd you get that at?
ColtMerch.com.
Oh, very interesting.
So my question for you is well, I got 2 quick ones. First off, what did it feel like to get your nuts ice packed by Yano? And then my second question is, as a guy that's new into podcasting, what kind of advice would you give me?
Well, not only did I get my nuts iced by Yano, but also Red Shoes' son iced my nuts. And, doing that, obviously that was just done on the fly. That was the improv that I'm that I like to do. And I don't think they had a problem. But, if I wasn't so confident in myself to do that, others might have. But I felt that was my character. That was the situation. That's what should have happened. And it did. But, a lot of people would be like, what are you doing? It's New Japan. It's strong style. And for me, it's like, this is why I'm here. This is why I'm doing it. I think Yano and I are very much on the same page. And so, so everyone liked it. So it was a success. In terms of podcasting, a couple of advice I've given over the years is number one is audio. Make sure your audio sounds nice. Make sure it sounds crisp. Spend a couple extra bucks to make your audio sound good, because here's what's going to happen. Much like Pert Plus, nope, Heads and Shoulders. You never get a second chance to make a first impression. I think that was their slogan. But you might have great content, but if someone comes to your podcast and they're like, oh, this sounds like someone's calling over the phone or whatever, I'm not going to check it out. And they probably won't check it. I mean, this is just stats I'm making up in my head, but you probably won't get another shot from that person for maybe another 3 to 5 years. So the first thing you want to do is grab them with great sounding audio. And then the second part of a podcast should be have a point of view and really stick to it and believe it, because people are coming to listen to something, that someone really has something to say. Like, what do you have to say? And let it be known. And, weirdly, the political world is, jumping in this, but you could scale it back, and it doesn't have to be politics or a right or left side or a middle. But for the major brothers, it's their love of wrestling figures. For me, it was really wanting to know like why people got into wrestling and the hardships that they had. And for others, it's something else. So I recommend you try to find your thing, and then dedicate. Also, another thing, I'm going to throw another thing in there, is have a good schedule. That was something that was really hammered down to me, was you knew that you were going to have it on Thursday every single day for 8.5 years, 9 years, every single Thursday. So make an appointment listening for your listeners, and then everyone will, they'll know going on in the future that that's the day or that's the time it will come out.
Awesome. I feel like I'm actually already headed in the right direction with all that advice you gave me. So hearing you actually say that makes me feel a lot better, that I feel like I'm headed in the right direction with what I want to do with it. So
well, great. You. I mean, now I feel bad because I'm telling you nothing you need to know. So I fucked up. Sorry.
But no, you didn't fuck up. You basically are telling me I think that I'm headed in the right direction already. So for that, I thank you.
Perfect, Dennis. I look forward to your success, bud.
Thanks, Dennis.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
Bye.
We will hop over to Archie. What's up, buddy?
Hey guys. Hey Colt. So basically my question is, I was going through a YouTube rabbit hole of matches, and I saw a match between you, Colt, and then it was in Mexico against Hijo del Fishman.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so my question is, when there's like a language barrier, which I don't know if there was, but how do matches get put together when you got that language barrier going on?
Well, I mean, I'll tell you some backgrounds to that match, and I'm trying to think. Oh, that was like that was a promotion, I believe, that started in Puerto Rico with Hugo Savinovich and then moved over to Mexico. I forget exactly what it was called. W something. The first show we did in Puerto Rico was in like a 12,000 seat arena in front of 800
He's still
fans.
running shows, right? I think so.
Yeah, but maybe under a different banner with somebody else's money. This was a particular one, though. And what I remember from that was a couple of things. It was in Monterrey, in one of the dirtiest, grossest arenas that I'd ever been in. But being the huge wrestling nerd, like I'm not a diva about those things. I'm like, this is wrestling. This is so romantic. It's very cool. And then the other thing was, that was the last time I saw Big Daddy V or Viscera, and which was really sad, and also sad for me personally because, that was like in the middle of my podcast, and I was like, hey, would you like to do my podcast? He's like, I'd love to. And obviously, I think he passed maybe 3 or 4 months after that. That match with Fishman, it was nothing to brag about. It was very hard to talk with each other. And we only, some of these matches are choreographed from A to Z. Some of these matches have zero choreograph, and some have somewhere in the middle. And that one was, we put a couple of bullet points together through translation, or we would mime out stuff like, and I know like a little bit of Spanish, me and two, yo soy. And through that we put that through. But if you watch that, there's a lot of me when I realized, well, we can't win this crowd over with the sequences because there aren't that many. I try to win them over with the heat, and you can tell I'm a wild man trying to get heat out there, just really showing out. So,
well, I mean, all you got to be is American, and they give you some sort of heat.
Yeah, and I'm dancing around, being a real idiot. So, but that was a fun. The match wasn't anything memorable, but it was a fun scenario in terms of like me totally out of my element, but loving it. Like just picturing, I don't know, the same idea that like Bruno or like Andre versus Connect or something like that.
Yeah.
Like it's so weird that I'm down there, but I appreciate those little things.
Is that his actual son, or is that somebody just with the gimmick?
I am I'm a historian in World of Sport, but I do not know my lucha libre as much as I should. I think someone said it was, but I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks, Archie.
Well, thank you, Colt.
Thanks, dude.
Have a good one. We will hop over to Eddie. What's up, buddy?
Hey, what's going on? Hey, my boy. Want to say hi real quick.
Who's the little guy? Oh, there's 2 of them.
Yeah, Colt Cabana, boom, boom.
Colt Cabana, boom, boom.
There, he gets it.
Hey, Colt, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. Hey, I
Colt Cabana, boom, boom.
hey, I need you to talk to your boy real quick. I know he's been hiding for a while, man, but where's Matt Classic at?
Oh, Matt Classic at this moment is literally in the basement doing lunges.
Is he doing those Hindu squats or what?
Well, first he's got to finish the 1,000 lunges.
Yeah.
And then he might do some Hindus, but he's ready whenever anyone's calling. But no one, kind of like Dennis Stamp. Nobody's called up on him yet.
Hey, cool. Hey, man. So you're pretty much like the Ring of Honor guy. You're like the Ring of Honor guy, man. What's it like to seeing all your buddies from Ring of Honor doing so well? Like Adam Cole, Brody Lee, all those guys, man.
I mean, there's a list. There's a giant list of them, and you're right. Yeah, I was Ring of Honor essentially 2002 to 2007, and then 2009 a little bit, 2010 a little bit, and then 2015 to kind of last year. And there's a list of guys, and there's a reason why Ring of Honor has this reputation of grooming talent and then, kind of moving on to maybe a bigger stage, sadly, because Ring of Honor should have been a huge stage. But at this point, it is what it is in wrestling, and it is his niche. But there's so many talented guys, and it's cool to watch Seth Rollins just be on top of the wrestling world, or even Kenny Omega. We recognized Kenny Omega's talents in 2009. A lot of us thought he was amazing, but at that time, Kerry Silken was the only person that was, there was no money behind it. It was just Kerry Silken. And Omega's flights were like $1,300 from Winnipeg. So it was kind of hard to, he was probably $1,300 flight, and then he was probably making $150. So it was kind of like a weird, why are we paying this much for all of this? It doesn't really make sense. And so all of these guys I love seeing when everyone moves on and has a huge impact in wrestling. Dragon is one of the biggest ones too. Daniel Bryan, obviously.
Yeah. Well, hey man, I appreciate your time. Hey, one more thing, man. You got to get Homicide to AEW too, man. I love your guys' feud back in Ring of Honor, man.
Well, thank you. Well, Kingston's there. I mean, no, that's not Homicide, but
absolutely, man. Bring him. Well, hey, man, that's one half.
Yeah, we got him. Well, we'll work on D for sure.
Hey, God bless you. Appreciate you, man.
Be good, Eddie. Thanks.
Thanks, Eddie. Colt, as somebody who obviously has a lot of friends in the business, who's been around the block, how often does like wrestling politics get in the way of just like marquee matchups or just marquee events happening?
Well, wrestling politics is a big thing. In terms of like marquee matches, I think low key is the only one that like prevents that. It's only him and his politics. Like, there's been so many because he was one of the greatest wrestlers ever, but I think a lot of his weird politics stopped matches from happening that a lot of people wanted to see. Sadly, I think on maybe there's a WWE then not a level in terms of like it's just like their world is over there and then the other stuff. I think maybe WWE has that kind of politics, but I feel on every other level, like stuff can eventually get worked out and will work. But politics are there, but I wouldn't say they really play a part in like changing a marquee match, if that made sense.
All right, and we will go over to Sean.
What's up, Colt? How you doing?
Hey, Sean, how are you?
Good, man. So, talk about the difference between like international wrestling and like stateside wrestling.
Well, there's a lot to break that down. What are you more thinking wise, or just a broader scope?
Just a broader scope, because when you watch like New Japan, right, it seems like the camera angles it's just different. And I know a lot of people can, talk about how that is, but there is a difference, right?
Well, I had a conversation with Kevin and Kelly about this in terms of there's a different production team when New Japan goes to a different town, they don't bring the same production team. It's just local people, professionals, but nobody is smartened up to what the finish is. Nobody is smartened up to anything. So when they're directing a New Japan show, I mean, they're just doing it like a baseball game. And so that might be a difference in terms of what you're talking about, camera angles and stuff. And also, like I said, it's a different crew. WWE and AEW and Ring of Honor, they all have the same crews that go around with them. And they have a director. I think Mark Davis was the Ring of Honor one. And he's specifically saying, here's how I like these shots. Here's how I want these shots. But I think, to the best of my knowledge, that is a bit different with New Japan. In terms of wrestling, I mean, I've always just done my style and done my thing. But, if I was to say like Glasgow, I mean, they're a little more wilder than the London crowd. But the London crowd is a really fun crowd. And obviously the Japanese crowd is a little more reserved. But when let's say me and Yano are in there, I think there's such in disbelief that we're doing this style that any little thing, there's a big reaction, and not a reaction like Tanahashi would, for Tanahashi, a reaction of like, this is so taboo. I love that we get to cheer for Yano putting an ice pack to Cabana's dick or whatever it is, So I think that's why I've had some success in Japan. And I've been going there since 2005. I went to 01, and then I toured with Noah, then I toured with DDT, and now New Japan, and I'm still with New Japan. But obviously with COVID, not in that sense, is that I do my style, which I believe is successful and fun. I might be a little overtapped in America when everybody at every indie show ever has seen me do my shtick.
Right.
But in Japan, I'm a treat. I'm a little bit different. I'm not there every single show, every single weekend, working for every single independent. So that's why it is nice to go overseas and be a little more I like it a little more to go overseas and be a little more fresh to a fan who has maybe heard of me, who hasn't seen me live. Whereas I'm wrestling for AIW and AAW, and WrestlePro, every month almost. Whereas I know they appreciate my wrestling, but I really, really have to make sure it's something completely weird or different if I want to, be something different. Otherwise, I'm just the same match that I had the last time. So that's where I get my enjoyment of going overseas a little more.
And then final question is your finisher. Do you have a cool story on how you came up with that?
I have a lot of finishers. Which one are you talking about?
Just whatever your favorite one.
I'll give you the story on the Billy Goat's Curse, which is the reverse Boston Crab. It was during a series of matches that I had with Daniel Bryan in WWE, Jesus Christ, in Ring of Honor. And myself and Gabe Sapolsky, we kept on trying to come up with a finish myself. I didn't have a finish. I didn't want to do the Colt 45 anymore because it hurt my shoulder. I was trying to do the super complex pin that I tried to work out. That didn't work. And then eventually I was in these series of matches with Daniel Bryan. And I believe it was during a 2 out of 3 falls match, because then later we came back with an Iron Man match. And I did this thing where it was in the middle of like the very go home segment, and bip, 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 bip. And I swept his legs, and I turned it to the reverse Boston Crab, which is something I wanted to try, but I thought it would just be a submission. And the crowd came up huge for it and were really biting on it. And afterwards, even though it was just a falsie, I came back to Gabe and I said, Gabe, I think that's my finisher. And he was like, I agree. And that's why I started using the reverse Boston Crab. And then I wanted a name for it and then I was thinking crab. So there's some kind of animal. And then the Cubs losing streak was known as the Curse of the Billy Goat. Yep. And I changed it to the Billy Goat's Curse using Chicago. I didn't want it to be the Chicago Crab. I wanted it to be like a Chicago animal of some sort. So that's where the name came in.
All right. Well, thank you for your time.
Thanks, Sean.
Thanks, Jacob.
Thank you, Sean. We will say hi to Raven.
Hey, Colt. How you doing?
Oh, I thought it was Scotty. Hi, how are you?
Yeah, no, sorry. Okay.
Don't be sorry. I'm actually happier.
So, I am a juggalette, so I have to freaking ask you. Whoop whoop! I have to ask you about the Officer Colt gimmick.
Yes.
So, I always thought it was so interesting seeing you do that gimmick, because so often I see you in the ring just like being sort of the fun, face character. Not saying that's always what you've been, but like that's sort of what I've personally been used to seeing in your work. And so it's so different and hilarious seeing you play the Officer Colt gimmick. And we've seen a few other people, do those gimmicks at the gathering. It always gets such a fun reaction from the Juggalo crowds. But yeah, can you talk to me a little bit about that gimmick? I'm not really sure what to ask specifically, but
sure. Yeah, I'll tell you some stories about it. So first of all, fired from the WWE, and right after that, the Weed Man, who's a wrestler named Dysfunction in Milwaukee, he kind of said to me, hey, the Clowns are looking for a cop character. And Weedman was like, hey, I think Colt would be perfect for it. And then he kind of said to me, like, hey, would you be interested in this? And I was. And I'd always wanted to work the gathering. I'd never been able to do it before. I'd always admired the Insane Clown Posse a lot because of their work ethic and the way that they you could see like the way I kind of like with my podcast and kind of everything wanted the same idea of that community. And so what I did was, at the time I was doing improv classes in Chicago, and I took a bunch of my improv friends and we made a skit, and I named the character Officer Jack Offerson. That was the original name for it. I love that name. I wish they used it, but they wanted to use the name Colt Cabana. That skit, I believe, is on YouTube, and it's like over 10 years old. And then Violent J and Shaggy Two Dope couldn't believe that I would do that to work for them. Like they saw like this WWE guy, the guy who's been around the world. They couldn't believe I would put in that effort and wanted to do that. And I did. And so from there, like that's where the love came, I think, for all of us. And then at that time, again, I had been fired from WWE. I didn't know what I was going to do for a living. I was very sad. And they started running shows every other Wednesday in Detroit, and paying pretty decent. So all of a sudden, I was booking up Friday, Saturday, and sometimes Sunday, and then I'd have a Wednesday show every other Wednesday. So essentially, I had 4 shows a week, and it gave me a lot of confidence that I could be a pro wrestler working for the Clowns, adding that show and saying like, no, wrestling doesn't want you. Wrestling still wants you. Now, in terms of the character, Officer Colt, like, you're right. I'm a fun-loving babyface, and in this world, it's kind of like comic books, which I don't know a lot about, but I hear everyone talking about. It's like in this world, I can do whatever I want. It's almost not part of the wrestling world. It's just this own standalone world, and I just had as much fun as humanly possible. Some of the things, looking back 10 years later, maybe I shouldn't have said, and you know, it was to get heat, and I did feel you can kind of say whatever you want at the gathering.
Yeah.
Right. But, you know, in terms of just doing the character, I loved it, and I still love it, and I still enjoy doing it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Colt.
Thanks, Raven.
Thanks, Raven. We will say hi to Dina.
Hi.
Hi.
Quick question. I just came around for the first time 2 days ago. And I was wondering if I bought your book and sent it to you, would you autograph it for me?
Yeah, of course, but you can. Oh, you got to put your thing on mute, I think, Dina.
Yeah.
There you go. Anybody can send anything to my PO box. It's on my websites with a self-addressed envelope, and I will send it back to you. But if you go to coltmerch.com, I have books on there, and I will sign it for free if you would like to. Just put in the instructions, and I will sign it to you or any kid or anything you want. I'm always happy to do that over at my website. coltmerch.com.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dina.
See you, Dina. We'll go to M Revolver.
Hey, Colt, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. So, I just wanted to ask you about the podcast. Kind of a couple questions. First, when you first started, did you think it was going to have the impact on not only podcasting but on the wrestling? Thinking outside that box and building, like you said, a community aspect behind your following. Did you think it was going to have that impact on other wrestlers and have that lasting till now?
I mean, I know this might sound egotistical, but the way I was a fan of Mark Maron and I saw what he did, and he went from basically a zero in comedy to this like star, and the way I basically stand over him, you know, like I saw that was going to happen in the wrestling community if anyone did that kind of show. And if you don't know, Mark Maron was a comedian, many years, was talking to other comedians, basically like in the green room, aka the locker room, and having these really in-depth chats that I fell in love with. And I knew that if the wrestling world tapped into the same idea, that the same thing would happen. And then eventually I just said, oh, I guess I'll be the one to do it. So I didn't even follow the numbers in the beginning, and I didn't know what good numbers were. So that was something that allowed me to like keep on doing it and just enjoy what I was doing, as opposed to being like totally obsessed with numbers or people doing it. But from the very first 2 months, you know, because I wrestled every weekend, basically. I wrestled every weekend, and I saw the merch lines grow, and I saw the people that wanted to talk to me grow, and I saw the people that wanted to come to my shows grow. So instead of looking at the numbers of a podcast or the numbers of the analytics, I saw it at the, I would say arenas, but I saw it at the VFW halls that I wrestled at every week. And from the very beginning, I saw that it had an impact and that I was doing the right thing. And I knew just to keep moving forward.
And last one, just with all the episodes you've done, is there anything that you would go back and do either differently or maybe tackle it differently?
I think you know the answer to that one.
Yep.
I wouldn't do a specific episode. That got me in a lot of trouble, of course.
Gotcha. Thank you so much for everything. Every time I've seen you on the Indies, you've been nothing but amazing and really approachable. So thank you so much for everything you do, man.
Of course, I appreciate it, and that also makes me super sad that there's no shows going on right now.
Yep.
Thanks, M Revolver. We have 5 more for you, Colt. We'll say hi to Sherm.
Jacob. Okay.
Oh wait, sorry. What's up?
Oh, we could do it a little longer. I'm okay with that.
Oh, okay. Sherm.
All right. Hey, Colt. So, yeah. All right. So my question for you is, is there a chance that we can see the Officer Colt Cabana gimmick at AEW?
Well, sure.
Like, that was one of my favorite gimmicks.
I see you're wearing a Detroit shirt, so I see you're in the Murder City there. I don't think we're going to see Officer. Yeah, I don't think we're going to see Officer Colt Cabana. Although I do have a feeling, and I pitched this to Matt Jackson with the 50 over 50, that maybe Matt Classic might be doing an appearance sometime soon. I think he is perfect for the over 50 crowd.
I mean, true, but it's not the same as the Officer. But I get it.
I think that's just for that specific world, Sherm.
All right, I got you. Well, can I ask one more question? I know we're short for time.
Sure.
But you know, like, do you see any other wrestlers from from JCW maybe getting the call to go to AEW? Like Too Tough Tony or anyone like that?
Yeah, it's cool that you're a JCW fan. I'm trying to think of all the guys. JCW is known as kind of this just misfit of misfit places. So I'm trying to think of some of the wrestlers, but I don't know. You never know. I'm not sure if Too Tough Tony or Madman Pondo are necessarily AEW guys. But
I got you.
You never know. You do never know. I thought one of the coolest things I thought was when the Necro Butcher came into Ring of Honor and had all these fun dream matches and really brought a different aspect to Ring of Honor, which I think was needed at the time. So the same could be said with a bunch of the JCW guys.
All right. Well, thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Sherm. Whoop, whoop.
Thanks, Sherm. We will say hi to Doug.
Cool.
Who's that? Who's that?
Hey, this is awesome. You've been waiting to say hi to Colt. Can you say hi? Say hi. Very good.
Hi, she's so
She always
cute.
goes in the house singing Boom Boom Colt Cabana, so thought I'd bring her on real quick to say hi. But I have a quick question for you. First of all, I just wanted to say it's an honor, and thanks for you coming on and doing this with us. And I just wanted to what do you kind of prefer? I know you've done a wide variety of shows. I've seen you at some local shows here in Denver, like at the Oriental Theater, like Lucha Libre and Laughs, kind of the comedy style, and then going up to, I saw you when you debuted in Denver. You kind of prefer the smaller stuff, or kind of, how do you feel about, going to the bigger shows? And
I mean, Denver was special. It was this giant arena where people were chanting my name. To be honest, though, if it all, I don't know. It's a hard question because if it all paid the same, I'd probably love to do like 500 people is like the sweet spot of just like around the ring, very intimate, where they can hear me and I can hear them. Because I love that banter of like back and forth with the crowd. Whereas the big arenas, it's not as easy to kind of talk with everybody. They once said Robbie Brookside was a great small arena player, and it didn't translate to big arenas. And I always that was an insult to him, but I always thought it was kind of a compliment. Like I kind of saw myself as the same as I love playing the small crowd and the intimate crowd. So to me, honestly, like you said, Lucha Libre and Laughs is a comedy show, big arena shows. I love kids shows. I love all aspects for different reasons. I don't, maybe my preferred show is I think First Avenue, a First Wrestling in Minnesota is like a good example of kind of like a hipster bar, a smart hipster beer drinking crowd is probably my favorite. Where it's just art kids who are looking to have fun, who are drinking, who aren't going to try to take over the show, who want to be in on the action. who just want to make it like fun, who you can give adult humor to. I think that's like kind of the ultimate combination. And ICW is great like that in Scotland, and First Wrestling is great like that. And, you know, to an extent, AIW in Cleveland and AAW in Chicago, and Beyond Wrestling, maybe. There's a couple maybe I'm missing, but those are some good examples of places I really enjoy wrestling.
Right on. Thanks a lot, Colt.
Thanks, dude.
Thanks, Doug.
Thank
you.
you.
See ya. Well, say hi to Theo.
Hey, Colt.
What's up, Theo?
Hey, I was just wondering, who originally pitched the Dark Order idea to you, and have you drank the Kool-Aid yet?
Well, I don't want to get too deep into it because we're still in the middle of it. But I came to some of the EVPs, and I had like a giant outline of an idea I had, and they were like, "Great, let's go forward with it." So no one was pitching to me; I was actually pitching to others.
Oh.
And yeah, of course. And no Kool-Aid for me. I'm a Crystal Light kind of guy.
Thanks, Theo. And we got the last three here for your Colt. We'll
Great.
say hi to Yadi.
Yadi.
Cool, man, how you doing?
Good. What is that?
This is a sign I made at MLW Super Fight
Cool.
during MJF's match.
Oh, me and the
His
Miz.
last match, and I thought I would show you. It's the Miz plus you
Me.
equal MJF,
Yeah, love
and
it.
it says you are sunshine on it.
Maybe that's we do know I'm MJF's father, so maybe the Miz is
I
his
did
mother.
this before all that. I was like, oh my god, my sign is canon now.
It's true.
So it makes sense. Now it's official. So just thought I would show you too. So before
Love it,
MJF
Yadi.
up again.
Love
So thank you.
All
Thanks,
right.
Yadi.
Easy.
Thank you. Bye.
We will say hi to Sarah.
Hi, Colt. How's it going?
I'm great. How are you? What was your shirt? Empires?
Evil Empire, Star Wars.
Oh, nice.
Wanted.
Cool.
So my question already got asked, but I've come up with a new one since then.
Sure.
When you go to different cities, what's your favorite side attraction to go to? You know, outside the arena.
Oh, that's a good question. I always do, because I'm a big comedy nerd. I always try to see who's playing in the city, comedy wise, so I can then, after the show, if it's possible, catch like a late night show if that's possible. That's something I'll always do. And then, especially when we wrestled in New York for Ring of Honor at the Hammerstein Ballroom, the UCB used to be right next to the Hammerstein, and I would walk over and always watch the late night show. That's something I always did. In terms of other things, usually I'm not as good. You know, Matt Taven and Dalton Castle are amazing at this kind of stuff, but I will go on, like, I think I have an app that says like the top things to look, you know.
Right.
I'll be a real tourist and just be like, what are they known for? Let's try to sneak that in.
So any stand-up comedy aspirations after your wrestling career is over?
Well, no, but I dabble in stand-up right now. Like not right now. I dabble in nothing. But when the world was correct, I don't know if it's correct, but when the world was around, you know, I would do little things here and there in Chicago, and I really enjoy it. But I enjoy doing it with zero pressure because I try not to go up as like Colt Cabana, the pro wrestler, but I just try to sneak on there. You know, my friend Marty DeRosa will take me on shows, and I'm friends with a bunch of the Chicago comedians and stuff too. So,
Great. Well, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Sarah.
Thanks, Sarah. And our last one, Colt, is Danny. What's
Yo!
up,
Yo.
Have no fear, the Postal Service works. The second he said Pro Wrestling Tees earlier, this box showed up on my doorstep. Got the hat. Everything's cool. I watched you on Twitch earlier, so I want to know, what kind of advice you have for us as we launch our Twitch page this week.
Well, what's your Twitch page about?
Well, you know, first of all, every morning there will be a morning show from 11 Eastern to 1. So that'll be fun. We're also going to have lots of video games, card breaks, you know, all kinds of stuff like that.
Cool. Well, I'm very new to Twitch, twitch.tv/Colt Cabana. Wink. But you know, I mean, the first advice is get the stuff that works. That's what I did. I got a really nice camera and a nice microphone and the nice computer. You know, but I understand if you don't have that kind of money to get that stuff. So I would watch it. You know, there's a lot of great YouTube tutorials. So I've been just YouTubing Twitch. I'm not the guy to tell you how to run the Twitch, but the YouTubers are like that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
And I've been doing a lot of studying and a lot of YouTubing of like, you know, what makes sense? What do people like? What do people do? And then I'll say like, oh, would I like that? You know, that's how I do stuff with podcasting and wrestling and comedy. All of that is like when I coach for wrestling and I'll do these seminars, I'll be like, look, I'm going to give you so much information. You don't have to take this as gospel. You don't even have to listen to it. But if there's 2 or 3 or 4 things that you're like, oh, that seems right, then it's a success. So, you know, I would say, again, just go on YouTube, do hours and hours of like seeing what people suggest. And if there's something that sticks out, then do that.
Fantastic. Appreciate you, man. Whoop, whoop.
Whoop, whoop.
Thanks, Danny.
Jacob, you got a lot of juggalos over here. I love it.
I did not know that until tonight. So, well, thank you, Colt, for joining us. And of course, where can everybody find you?
Yeah, well, I've been twitching a lot. Twitch.tv/Colt Cabana. I play wrestling themed Jackbox games on there where we only do wrestling answers. But other than that, ColtCabana.com is my website. I do sell merch, and I do have like match worn stuff that I like to put up that I think is really cool. The person had it in the Boom Boom Singlet, one of the first ones, where yeah, it's like I look at it like a game worn jersey or something. And since I do sew my own stuff, I make a lot of costumes, and then you know I can't keep them all. So if you want a cool piece of wrestling history, it's yours. That's coltmerch.com, and I made three wrestling independent documentaries that's what I would really push. I'd say if you'd like to see a movie that shows the world of independent wrestling, the Wrestling Road Diaries 1 through 3 are there, and I'll sign them all for you and send them out to you.
Thank you, Colt, and everybody have a great night.